Chapter 6, Episode 16 The Holy Emperor and the Genes in Hiding. When Pal sprinted back to the Imperial City, he found the de Medici family destroyed. "Mother, are you safe?" Pal realized that something had happened here and called Beatrice's name in a hoarse voice. Without drinking a single drop of water, the horse galloped back to our house, which was shrouded in a thin haze. As I looked around the area with the thought of no possibility, I noticed the presence of people in the yard. As Pal pulled out his cane and approached, Thelma treated the injured Cedric while Beatrice looked on with concern. "Mother, are you all right?" "Pal, why did you even come back? I told you not to come back." "Others." Beatrice seems to have been taken aback by her eldest son's return after her second son. Pal explained hesitantly. "I sent the others to a safe place, so don't worry, Mother." "Welcome back, brother," said Rick-san. "It's all right now." "Thank you, Thelma-sama. Even if it's just a scratch." "No, it wasn't a scratch," Pal called out to Thelma, who had finished treating Cedric. "Thelma, you came back all right. As you can see, the Imperial capital is in a mess and I've run out of divine power." "What are you going to do after this?" "The divine power will soon be exhausted. When the sun sets, new evil spirits will appear out of nowhere." Pal, summarizing the story briefly and turning to Thelma, bristled with impatience. "Oh, I know. I have to do something. Is there a wish from the medicine god? Is this situation in the Imperial capital the will of the guardian god?" Pal grabbed Thelma's shoulders with strong force. His fingertips dug strongly into his shoulders. "I can't stop it anymore. Even if I can protect the Imperial capital, other lands that I can't reach will be devoured by evil spirits and perish. There are no other." "Are you trying to put His Majesty's life in danger even though you are the Supreme Court pharmacist?" Pal's eyes pierced Thelma sharply. It was a haunted look. The de Medici family had a long history as court apothecaries. If this apothecary threatened the emperor, he would not stay quiet. "Yes. But I promise to protect His Majesty's life. I can think of nothing else." The brothers' gazes clashed fiercely. And Pal saw that Thelma was not making a passive decision. "I understand. Even if you become a traitor, do what you think is best for the sake of this world and follow the will of the medicine god who gives you revelations. If you fail, go to the scaffold together. I will give it to you." "Yes, I don't mind. Why are the three men in my family like that? Always like this, always. I can't help it. We believe what we believe." "Yes, that tone sounds just like that person." As she lamented, Beatrice fixed her gaze on Thelma. Pal slapped Thelma on the back, forcing him to struggle. "Go, Thelma. Come here." Thelma lowered his eyes once, turned to the two of them and inhaled. "I'll be back. This time a real demon shows up." Melody. Leading the members of the de Medici's family, including Claude and Blanche and the Bonnefoy family, to a mansion in an area in the town of Rambouillet, serves as hostess and offers tea to the guests. "This medicine from Yakushi-sama is my lifeline. I don't have to see scary things and I can be myself." Melody, who suffers from schizophrenia, cannot let go of the medicine prescribed by Thelma. Melody's condition has entered a stable phase and she continues to take medication while consulting with Thelma. When she was labeled possessed, Melody struggled with the illusions she saw in herself. Ironically, her experience fighting evil spirits has kept her mastery of the divine arts at a certain level. When she encountered an evil spirit that was not a hallucination, she felt as if all her torment had been for that moment. "It's time to fight. Melody, you were cool." Blanche gave me a longing look. Blanche's mistress was Ellen, but it seems her brave figure is etched in Blanche's eyes. Lot questions Melody. "Where did the demons come from?" "It is said that evil spirits are human spirits, animal spirits, and spirits found in the natural world. It's nothing, but it always reminds us that we are in a dangerous world and are threatened. Is there anything I can do even if I don't have divine power?" "Well, something. Don't be weak, be strong." Evil spirits are created by thoughts, so if a person's heart becomes weak, evil spirits will take advantage of them and give them power. That's right. I have a strong heart. Lot, who is actually possessed by an evil spirit, hangs her head and wonders if something is on her mind. Melody, who was observing the situation, clapped her hands as if she had an idea. That alone worries me. Come to think of it, there is a divine art that can be used even if you are not a user of divine arts. Do you want me to teach you? Nobles who have run out of divine power or who have lost their wands can use it as a temporary technique against evil spirits. There is only a small amount of divine arts that can be used as divine arts. I'm a commoner, but divine arts. I know you're a commoner. Melody-sama. However, I heard that there is a rule against teaching divine arts to citizens in detail. Lot asks shyly. It is true that it is tabooed, but divine arts is something you teach to the person you are interested in. When working with you, I don't think your talent is inferior to that of a divine arts user. Melody winked mischievously. And what she brought with her was a rather thick memo on the circle of flame magic she had written so far. For the first time, Lot saw descriptions about divine arts. With the exception of forbidden books that citizens cannot read, there are no books about divine arts, and divine arts are passed down orally from master to disciple. However, it is said that since Melody became ill with schizophrenia, she has systematically written down her seals so that she does not forget her divine arts. There are different seals, but I'll give you this record. Such a precious thing. I will copy it later with a duplicate and give it back. That will help. Thank you. What do you want me to do with it? It's simple. You can draw this pattern with a special purified oil and burn it with a pilot fire made by a user of divine art. It is also a barrier. It is not as powerful as the divine arts used by divine arts users, but as a temporary defense it is good enough. You were good at drawing, weren't you? Melody smiles, takes the divine staff and uses divine arts to create a special divine flame as if loving it with her palm. As an archduke, her transparent and powerful divine flame created a vivid pilot. This is the pilot flame. I make sacred oil regularly, so come back when you run out. Melody put it in a special glass furnace and handed it to Lot. And the sacred oil is also put into a water bottle and distributed. Lot's face beams at Melody's joyful gift. Do you want to practice divine arts in the garden? I will teach you. Yes, please. Lot nodded with a nervous expression on her face. Blanche, seeing it, was envious. Good, I want you to teach me the magic of fire too, it's cool. Unfortunately, Blanche-chan is a water attribute that conflicts with fire, so I can't tell you. Oh. Blanche pouted. Thinking about it, what should I do to get rid of the fire after I burn the magic circle? For example, it might spread somewhere and cause a fire. Even if you light a fire with a divine flame that has no directivity, it will only burn holy oil, so it won't spread to places other than holy oil and go out sooner or later. I'm glad to hear that. I don't want to burn down the mansion. After Lot and Melody's special training for several hours, Lot is now able to write some basic exorcism spell circles. Although she is not a user of divine arts, she has begun to learn breakthrough divine arts activated by the divine power of Melody. That's all for today, let's continue tomorrow. Let's take a break, Mr. Charlotte. The lines are better than I thought. Above all, it's precise and fast. I was surprised. If you are a divine user of art, I would like to formally make you my student, but it's a shame. I am honored. I don't know how to thank you for teaching me valuable knowledge. I want to thank you with a picture. The picture is nice, but I wonder if you would make some candy for me. The fruitcake I ate at your store was delicious, wasn't it? Cheers. For Lot, it turned out to be a meaningful and stimulating evacuation from helplessness. Your Majesty, I am truly sorry to have been placed in such a situation while serving you. Just 3 days later, embarrassed, Velma apologized to the Empress, who was facing the enthronement ceremony in the antechamber leading to the central part of the Holy Kingdom. Don't look at me with that pathetic face. Falma returned to the Empress from the imperial capital and advised her to become a high priestess. The Empress took Falma's advice, revealed the location of the melting circle to the Holy Land, and took the post of high priest. Although the Empress was not a cleric, she had studied imperial studies under the guidance of a temple. So many of the basic divine techniques and divine arts as a high priest were consistent with what she had learned that technique is smoothly executed. At the same time, the Sun Flu Empire will annex the Holy Kingdom. From the Holy Kingdom's point of view, they probably intended to make the Sun Flu Empire a vassal state, but judging by the actual difference in military strength, it was the Holy Land that was placed under their control. In the Holy Kingdom, the authority of the high priest is considered absolute, so rebellion was unlikely. As a result, if you believe that the Holy Land was preserved, it would not be so bad. Besides, it was my plan from the beginning to establish a new sect that worships the patron deity. It is only a nominal thing to be preserved. Although he stood strong towards Falma, he looked uneasy inside. Since this happened, I have no intention of running away or hiding. Falma listened to her words in silence. She thinks I've given up, but it's actually the other way around. I'm still fighting. Temporarily losing in one situation and winning in the grand scheme of things. Falma intends to do this. Even if she continues to run away without becoming a high priestess, the melting circle is programmed to melt her on the day of the total solar eclipse. Then build her into the usual so that the high priestess data collected so far can be used without depletion. At that time, the curse of the melting circle from the molecular and cellular biology approach began. When the door of the cathedral opens at the scheduled time, the high-ranking priests of the Holy Land gather and bow before it. After the coronation service, she was crowned. As a priestess, she received the title Holy Empress Elizabeth I, a precious staff, and was enthroned as a high priestess. As the first word from the Holy Land's highest cleric and head of state, she made a strong statement as the priests gathered in the square. With this ceremony, I, as Holy Empress Elizabeth I, was ordained High Priestess of the Holy Kingdom Spirit. Those who despise the patron deity, those who do not swear an oath of allegiance, and those who try to be unfaithful are considered rebellion against me and the Holy Land. Leave the temple. Falma was confused in his heart when the Empress spoke in an insolent tone. However, this and that also seemed to be the Empress' fighting style to maintain Falma's safety, and I could not deny it as much as I could understand. She did not even feel the slightest of her position as a tragic victim chosen as the wheel of the hammer, and used the heavy responsibility to her advantage by taking a tough stance and trying to take complete control of the Holy Land. Falma is not your enemy. There may have been evil gods in the past, but Falma is different. Having saved the hearts and diseases of countless people, I am the witness of his goodness. Exclamation mark. Looking at the Empress, who appealed without hesitation at close range, Falma remembered his fate with her. She continues as if to admonish the noisy priests. Throw away your awareness that the priests who know the cardinal points of the divine arts are a privileged class chosen by God. We pledge to be the most robust social servant for security across national borders and the guardian of the hearts and minds of to be our citizens. The priests are reportedly following the wishes of the Empress, who has become the legitimate high priestess. A great prayer was held as the enthronement ceremony. It seems that there were several patron gods in the Holy Land who are medicine gods, and when I received prayers from them, I felt divine power flowing through Falma. Receive a special staff after enthronement. And after completing the ceremony of transferring divine power to the great divine art formation spreading out from the cathedral. Light flows from the great divine art formation and the gods spread out like fiber optics to the whole world. I started walking around on the art path. Falma saw through it, and the Empress finished her first great task. Perhaps because she used up a huge amount of divine power, the Empress sits down sleepily on her desk. She is surrounded by good-humored priests. With your power, evil spirits will be eradicated and light will return to the world. The functions of the temples in various places have been fully restored. High-ranking priests also praised the Empress's abilities. Juliana, minding her own personal business, silently calculated the divinity the Empress had lost and began distilling the holy water from the crystal stone to restore divinity. The Empress drove the priests out of the room and spoke to Falma, who had stayed behind. "Falma, I must also apologize. I did what you hate the most." "No, something like that." Falma shakes her head. The Empress's apology probably means that Falma was idolized in the Holy Land. "I can't say something like that now, I can't afford it, it's a common situation." The failure to take power in the Holy Kingdom would affect her sovereignty over the Sun-Fluve Empire. Falma saw in the Empress' speech that the Sun-Fluve Empire, which had many citizens, could not be turned into a puppet state of the Holy Kingdom. "I know you want to pretend to be a human all the time. After all, they attacked you until recently," he said. "It's just like you said. Thank you for your excessive attention." Since Falma was officially recognized as an incarnation of a patron deity in the Holy Land, he was no longer hostile to the priests but was always surrounded by a group of escorts or guards who prayed for him wherever he went, which was very embarrassing to Falma. However, in return for this inconvenience and discomfort, Falma received the right to freely access all the treasures of the Holy Kingdom. This is because the Empress concluded that the treasure originally belonged to a patron deity. It was a privilege I could not have wished for. In just a few days after taking office, the Holy Empress began sweeping reforms in the administration of the Holy State, as she had done in the Empire. She immediately abolished formalities and dissolved the temple cardinals, in order to protect settlements across the continent from evil spirits. He ordered the organization to be reorganized to make the most efficient use of armed priests, focusing on areas of high population density. Next, one by one, they decided to transfer the central functions of the Holy Kingdom to the Sun-Fluve Empire. He appointed Solomon, whom he trusted, as the head of the Holy Kingdom and entrusted him with the government of the Holy Kingdom and the supervision of the wheels of the hammer. After Solomon heard Falma's story, he immediately ordered an investigation into the whereabouts of the cursed weapons that were scattered all over the world. And then the place where the cursed weapon was located was carefully occupied and sealed. Falma was very busy, attending important meetings, and was asked for his opinion by the Holy Emperor. But to monitor Iren's progress after he recovered from his illness, he used a medical staff to go back and forth between the Imperial City and the Holy Erinite Land. At night, Ellen, who is hospitalized in the Imperial Medical College Hospital, welcomes Falma to her room as if she is in trouble. "Are you here again? That's too bad. I'm going to check on Lot and Rambu and go home." Lot is Lot. She still has the influence of being possessed by an evil spirit, and Falma did not fail to go after her. "In that case, you don't have to go back and forth to the Imperial capital. You must be busy every day." "I'm fine, I can already walk, so I don't want to worry you so much. I want to see the progress after the operation, and I'm worried." Although Falma had entrusted Ellen's daycare to Surgeon Claude, he wouldn't be reassured if he didn't stop by periodically to see how he was doing. "Since Chief Chamberlain is treating me, I'm not in any discomfort, I just have a slight fever," he said. "What are you going to do with the large amount of glasses you had?" "I'm going to think about it some more. I wonder if it happened because I had transfused Falmakan's blood. I don't even know what happened." However, Ellen's ability, which inherited part of the Yakushinmin on her left wrist due to a blood transfusion, seems to be limited to examining her left eye. In addition, it is a specification similar to the beta version, which allows you to search for disease names but not medicines. In addition, her divine art attribute is the still water attribute, and she cannot do things like material creation and material deletion. Ellen's shadow disappears, her body becomes transparent, and such incidents do not occur. Also, I thought that the ability would be given by blood transfusion, but that seems to be different. Then you received one of Falmakan's abilities, right? You can diagnose the location of the disease and accurately guess the name of the disease. You were able to do something like that. There are other things I've kept from you. Falma said bluntly. Now that it's come to this, I have to share the secret with Ellen. If she could use the eye for diagnosis, it would be reassuring no matter what happened to Falma in the future. However, she seemed to use up the divinity almost one day when she used the diagnosis eye. Falma thinks that it cannot be used for regular medical treatment. Hey, can I see you? Me exclamation question mark. Not good? It's okay, but don't be nervous. Falma's voice rolled over at Ellen's unexpected offer. I examined Falma with an eye for diagnosis. This was something Falma had never been able to do before. Of course, Falma had never seen herself through the eyes of an examiner until now. Or rather, even looking through the mirror, I couldn't see anything. Ellen put her hand on her left eye. The brilliance of the diagnostic eye remains. For Falma, when he saw someone else using his eyes, he straightened his back and enjoyed a fresh feeling. Strange. Falma Kun looks bright red from the top of his head to his toes, even though other people don't look like that. That bright red color is also the same when you see someone who has a terminal illness or is about to die. You were so sick. I didn't know. What kind of illness? I appreciate you worrying about me, but I don't think it will affect you. Ellen suspected something, but in the end he said give up and threw a spoon. It could mean that the body of the original Falma is dead, or it could mean that it is full of abnormalities as a person. Since it is full of abnormalities in the first place, it is difficult to interpret. Then I'll come back. I will go to Lot and return to the Holy Land. Falma had also heard that Lot learned divine arts that can be used without divine power from the malady. It's amazing, isn't it? Lot Chan is also worried. Be careful not to hit the flying birds. Actually, if you're stupid, you'll get a bird strike. Falma examines Ellen before returning to the Holy Land as she clowns around. What happened? Speaking of which, Ellen's whole body is still slightly glowing and she has a fever. But even after the tissue destruction and bleeding after the surgery, the fever due to cytokines, and it's been 5 days, the fever hasn't subsided. It's okay to walk around, but don't overdo it during the day and get good rest. I wonder if it's because of Battersore's curse, not the absorption heat. Ellen began to talk about the details of making the elixir. After hearing the whole story, Falma could not keep his mouth shut. To save Lot, you and your brother were cursed with a miracle elixir that cost half your life expectancy? I'm sorry. I heard that you also received a curse from His Holiness, so I didn't want to disturb you. I'm sorry about that too. I'm grateful that I risked my life to save Lot. Ellen thought for a moment and asked Falma. Hey, Falma Kun. I think this curse is a contagious disease, but I wonder if the curse you put on His Majesty is the same. What do you think? Can you get a good look at it? Falma uses the diagnostic eye. Ellen stands in front of Falma and covers her chest with both arms. Falma Kun's diagnostic eye. If you look at it again, you have a strong eye. I'm a little overwhelmed. Don't make me laugh. Infectious disease. There was a change in the blue light indicating disease or lesions. This reaction indicates Ellen is infected with something. It seems to be a hit, as expected of Ellen. Speaking of infectious diseases, well, bacteria, fungi, parasites, viruses, viroids, prions. Try to consult one at a time. Even if you try to identify it by a rough classification, none of them will give you an answer. I know it's a contagious disease, but none of them have affected me. Falma felt his excitement subsiding. Hey, Falma Kun. Just like when you treated Eugen-san with genome editing the other day, isn't it called an infectious disease when nucleic acid fragments and enzymes enter cells without permission? This is gene therapy. I wouldn't call it an infectious disease. If it's not done artificially, it's not going to happen. But if it wasn't something that happened naturally, but something that was intentionally caused by a tomb guardian or a former patron deity, it wouldn't be strange if the curse was controlled by an artificial nucleic acid sequence. Such an idea occurred to me. Peptide introduction. Gene insertion. Falma surveys his eyes as he feels the blood drain from his entire body. Thinking that it was a gene transfer, the blue light showed a slight reaction. "Ah, I got it." "No. Gene transfer?" He made a face that said Ellen was lying. Falma also unintentionally half-smiled because it was so unexpected. "I got it right. The moment I was cursed by making the elixir, some kind of gene fragment entered Aren and my brother's bloodstream and circulated through my body. If it is a gene fragment, it will be diluted in the blood and will not reproduce." "So what are the genes that were introduced?" Falma began to think. When Aren prepared the elixir, he was cursed to cause a wound and become infected, which halved his lifespan. E.g., with a self-amplifying sequence. Introduction of transposons. The light that dwelt in Ellen turned completely red. "I was right. What is a transposon?" A transposon is a piece of DNA that moves around in a cell. Although it is not a virus, it comes from the outside, invades the genome on its own, and makes copies of itself. The resulting duplication becomes a new transposon. A transposon might work somehow. Falma's face darkened involuntarily, and Ellen was taken aback. "Are you happy to be a transposon?" Falma felt a sense of conviction. Ellen is dumbfounded. "No, it's not just transposons that can enter cells. So something plus alpha must have been introduced into the cells. This remains a mystery, but is there any manipulation during the making of the elixir?" While Ellen is thinking about such things, she is confused because he doesn't understand transposons, so Falma writes them on paper. "The moon is beautiful tonight." What? The moon didn't rise. Suppose there is a gene with the order. A certain specific sequence, for example tomorrow it will be sunny, is inserted into it. This embedded sequence is a transposon. Tonight the moon, tomorrow it will be sunny beautiful. There's a sentence between and. What is? A transposon has a marker sequence before and after it like. While this is attached, it can be transposed somewhere in the genome by an enzyme that targets the and cuts it out and places it somewhere else. They can move, but if the star is missing, the character disappears and they cannot move. Because of this property, transposons are also called moving genes. When the star is removed, the array gets stuck and says, "It's going to be sunny tonight, but it's going to be beautiful tomorrow." The sentence has lost its meaning. Yes, this gene was destroyed by inserting a short sequence. Many remnants of this transposon-containing sequence have remained in the human body. Probably. Well, I didn't look at the analysis data to see if there really was a lot of transposon debris left behind. Falma didn't have time to check the entire genomes of several people before, but if you look, you might find something. Yes. You're in the way. It's not just getting in the way. This is not a unique phenomenon, and it is reported that 1/3 of the genomes of mammals on Earth and about 40% of the human genome contain remnants where this transposon has entered the genome. When a DNA fragment is inserted into the genome by a transposon, the gene is destroyed and can cause a mutation. Well, I don't really understand, but was this moving gene written in Falma's textbook? I wrote about 1 page. Sorry, read it again. Cut into by Falma. Ellen was in a state of consternation. Then what would be the cure for this curse? Well, that's like recognizing and cutting out a mark sequence like the star of a transposon that has invaded me. No matter what the cursed sequence is that is built into Ellen, I already have an enzyme that will cut out the transposon from to without a trace so that it can never enter the genome again. Therefore, please be so. Falma asked the examiner. Through the examiner's eye met Ellen's. Falma consulted. Active transposition. The light that had enveloped Ellen in red disappeared completely. It looks like the right answer. Ellen seems to agree with it. A treatment strategy was set. Falma breathed a sigh of relief.